jeans has sort of overtaken my practice. Like it's become my practice. I've been curating exhibitions for close to 15 years, and I have always, found such joy and fulfillment. I mean, I love working with, like the collaborative aspect of it. I write all the accompanying texts for all of the shows. It's such a puzzle, and I like solving those problems.
Welcome to What's My Thesis. I'm Javier Proenza, and today my guest is Keith J. Varadi, and you are artist, art writer, and founder of Jeans Dispensary.
That is correct.
Okay, and the first time I ever became aware of you was we were both at that spot in your hat.
That's
at
right.
Other Places Art Fair.
OPATH.
Yeah, at first I was like honored because I got good headlining, but then I realized I paid a lot.
You really sprung?
Yeah, I splurged for that one because I'd done it before and I was like excited, but it was just fun. I was like so honored, and then I was like, oh yeah, I probably got one of the bigger booths. How have you been, dude? I have plenty of questions, but I haven't seen you since then, or I haven't seen you since Leroy's Happy Place. You did a thing there.
Yep. Yeah, I did a pretty huge exhibition from January to March. I think the final artist count was 51.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You got us beat on the What's My Thesis show that was 37.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So as big swingers.
Well, I mean, it was meant to sort of encompass my entire 12 years of being here. I moved here
LA.
I moved here in 2013. The title of the show was 1 terabyte verbatim, Los Angeles timing 2013 to 2025. Had you been to Leroy's prior to?
No, I hadn't. I don't think I had even been. I think that was my first time at Fulcrum Press too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at that spot. Yeah, at the new location.
Oh, okay.
Because I'd obviously been to the Chinatown, or I guess they're still both in Chinatown. Yeah.
Just down a couple blocks.
Yeah. But tell me about Jeans, because are you guys like what is Jeans Dispensary? Do you actually have a space? I don't even know that.
I do. You should come.
Okay.
Just opened a new show, Leroy Stevens solo show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It opened on Saturday.
Where are you guys located?
In Westlake, right on MacArthur Park.
Oh, okay.
In an old medical office building on the 8th floor. Yeah, there's not really any other art in there. Just clinics and chiropractors and shit like that. But it does have a bit of an art history. There's there used to be some artists who had studios in there, because there's like my gallery. It's just an old office space that, I turned into a gallery, and other artists had used offices as studios. There used to be a gallery pre-pandemic called Bad Reputation that had a really interesting program. A few of my friends had shown there. And a lot of people don't know that Semiotext used to have an office in the building.
What's Semiotext?
Oh, it's a really amazing press.
Okay.
Yeah, that's. Are you familiar with Chris Krause's writing?
No, but is that a play on semiotics? Okay, very clever.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, check it out.
How long have you been there? And are you how do you identify? Are you nonprofit, commercial, artist run nonprofit, hippie?
Not hippie. Is it possible to be a hippie in 2025? I don't know.
I mean,
like an authentic. It's like the same thing as like being. I mean, you can.
Have you met any boomers?
Yeah, I mean,
one of my favorite comedians has a joke. His name is Jeffrey Osmus, and he goes, he does a boomer character. He's like, back in my day, the orgies didn't have no queers.
but the hippies became yuppies, right?
Yeah, but they still believe in like the summer of love kind of shit. I mean, you remember the 90s? It was like all a tongue bath to that stuff around when the Volkswagen Beetle was like came out again and stuff. How old are you? You might.
I just turned 40.
You just turned 40?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
You look young, but yeah. So we're about the same age.
Yeah, I remember that, but that was also like, I mean, I was starting to learn about Gen X shit. I mean, but that was a strange era too. No,
Gen X, yeah,
because a lot of Gen X folks kind of just became boomers.
Yeah, I think I think that like, how in the 90s we kind of were, a lot of our fashion cues came, especially from the grunge movement, came from like the 1970s, and you could argue Jinkos were like an extension of bell bottoms.
Yeah, just all all wide.
It's like, why just the bottom? Why not a full bell? But yeah, no, I think that the Gen Xers that were our predecessors. I am technically a Gen Xer. I'm the last year. Yeah, I'm 80. But I do think that like they had a fascination, like, and it makes sense decade wise. They have a fascination with the 60s that kind of like became popular during the 90s, and then I think late 90s everything just shifted towards like the future's coming. Yeah. And drum and bass was on like commercials and in Nintendo games and stuff like that, Yeah. And everybody was optimistic before 9/11.
I think the thing is I was still kind of too young to grasp the nuance of the 90s, it wasn't until it was sort of that era that you're talking about had passed, the like positivity, the pre 9/11 positivity.
And then it became all boy bands right before 9/11.
Right. And I actually, like I grew up being really into punk. But I also was like, you know what? Like Backstreet Boys got some bangers, like I wasn't afraid to be like,
Class of 2002?
2003.
2003. Okay, that explains a lot.
Yeah, but I think, I like, even with politics, like at a really early age, because I was listening to punk and getting into, I mean, I was hanging out with older kids just from skating.
Now they call that grooming. I know the times have changed so dramatically.
Back then, they called it being precocious.
Yeah, back then you were badass.
Yeah, but I was really into Nader, but I couldn't vote. You know?
Yeah.
And then now people are like, you would have helped been part of the problem.
Oh yeah.
But like I think like the Gen X. The whole I don't know why we're talking about Gen X, but like I do relate to what it was, to some degree, but not like what it's become, if that makes sense. Like well,
I mean they basically are the tech bros.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like Gen X basically became boomers, but when it was like,
but more when it was Orwellian.
Yeah, but when it was booming, like it's like, oh yeah, I get the like Stephen Malkmus vibe, just like chilling.
I don't know who that is.
The singer and songwriter behind the band Pavement.
Okay.
Just like slacking.
Yeah.
Like I get slackers. Like I had the biggest crush on Parker Posey.
Oh yeah.
Like I get the slacker movement.
I've been watching some of her clips, like compilations of her stuff. She is so gorgeous, but like so not like your typical Hollywood actress that is that attractive.
She's a kook.
Yeah, but she's so talented.
Yeah.
I remember it. I was like, sorry. I was going to start talking about TV shows, but
you can do that. I love television. You can talk about whatever you want, my man.
Yeah, but we're here to talk about you. So where were you when you were punking out and stuff like that? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Is that what do they call the Pittsburgh accent?
Pittsburghese, but they're Yinzers.
Yinzers. Okay. Because I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how the Pit, that show, is pretty popular and somewhat accurate, but there's no Yinzers in there.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but people are raving about it.
Yeah.
And my family likes it. My girlfriend's really trying to get me to watch it. She loves Noah Wyle. And when I found out that Sean Hatosi's in it,
Who's
I think
that?
that's how you say his name. He was in this what was it called? It was this old Farrelly Brothers movie based in Providence with Amy Smart.
Yeah. I saw that. I remember that. I actually liked it.
Yeah.
There's like the dudes playing poker and then one of them turns out to be gay. And then the whole arc is that they just still call him a cocksucker.
I don't recall that part, but I'm gonna have to trust you. But that was when I first saw him, and I found him to be very charming. And then he was in this show called Animal Kingdom that was based on a movie.
Okay.
Called Animal Kingdom that was just about this like really rugged criminal family in Australia. But Ellen Barkin plays the mother in the show, and she's like one of my all-time favorite actresses, and he's, you know, it's just, he's one of these kind of like niche actors who I've always had a soft spot for, and I don't know why he doesn't get more work. So when I saw him in one of the because I watch a lot of HBO, when after Righteous Gemstones or after one of the shows we were watching, a Pit trailer came on, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we'll watch it.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed Righteous Gemstones is ending, but I'm also happy that he's gonna do something else. And he's just been
Danny
McBride, yeah, and probably Walter Goggins, because now they fucking ever since Vice Principals, they just love each other.
Well, I gotta say, I'm a bit disappointed in our man Walton.
Really?
Yeah, I love that guy, but he's kind of on one. He's like on a bender.
On Bad Politics, or?
Oh no, I don't know about that. He's just really feeling himself in this way, where it's like, I feel like every time I go on the internet, there's like a picture of him half naked, or him like going on some rant.
There's definitely
now he's beefing with his love interest from the White Lotus.
Oh really?
Yeah, and SNL was like mocking her teeth, and he was cheering them on. And I'm just like, why are you making fun of like the most likable person on this season? Like, what are we doing? Just like chill, bro.
I don't know.
You know.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
At least Sam Rockwell's still awesome.
Yeah.
But cool. So then tell me about Pittsburgh art world, and also your art origins. Like when did you start realizing that you wanted to make art, and
sure.
like what were the early indicators?
Sure. Well, Pittsburgh art, there's not much of an art scene in Pittsburgh, unfortunately. I mean, most people know that Andy Warhol is from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually worked at the Andy Warhol Museum when I was in high school, and that was pretty formative. But I didn't know that much about art growing up. I grew up in a pretty middle-class family. Pittsburgh's pretty working-class city, as I'm sure you're aware. There's not like a lot of luxury or culture. I mean, obviously, Carnegie Mellon, which is Carnegie Mellon University in the city, is a fantastic academic institution, and it's named after two of the wealthiest men in American history.
Mm-hmm.
So there once was.
Are they good guys?
No.
At least we got the Getty. You know?
Yeah.
There's no good patrons of the arts.
Unfortunately, that's oftentimes not the case. But they were two of the very few, very elite, wealthy people who were in the city. So, when there aren't that many people with that amount of disposable income, then people who are making art don't really stick around.
Yeah.
Right. So
but is there like a subculture at least? I mean, compared to LA, it's obviously not going to be, and I would say the same if you're comparing LA to New York, it's kind of probably unfair, but there were communities, and you were obviously somewhat aware of your interest if you were working at the Andy Warhol Museum.
Yeah, well, I mean...
And actually, that's pretty advanced, because I think when you're younger, anything that conceptual is maybe a little bit like inaccessible. So that's pretty impressive, no? How old were you?
I was my senior year of high school.
So 18?
Yeah, so 17.
17. I was going to say, do they have labor laws?
Well, I mean, I wasn't getting paid that much, and
that makes it better.
Yeah. Well, no, I was working just on the weekends, and I was kind of like a docent and doing I first learned how to do screen printing through the Warhol Museum, which was great. And then I was teaching younger kids how to do screen printing, which was, it was just really enjoyable. And rewarding. And I
did you get the work at 17? Did you understand what was going on? Did you understand consumerism at that visceral level?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he was even on my radar when I was that young. Maybe he was. I mean, it's Warhol, so that's probably...
Well, and that's, I mean, through working there, that's how I also learned about Basquiat, of course. That's how I learned that Patti Smith made art in addition to me. I mean, I was very familiar with Patti Smith's music, but I didn't know she made drawings. When I was there, they did a drawing show of Patti's. But Pittsburgh has a good punk scene, so I was going to lots of shows. There's a really great club in a city just on the outskirts, on the east end, called Wilkinsburg. The club's called the Mr. Roboto Project, and like all ages, every show was $5, and I just saw some of the craziest shit there. So that was great. And but in terms of art, yeah, there just wasn't really
no artist run spaces kind of thing. Not
really, unfortunately. Wow. I mean, like there would be like some there were good artists who, good students who went to CMU both for their BFA and their MFA. And so they would do like sort of like throw 'em up shows, just like there might be a space for 6 to 18 months or something. And it would just, or sometimes it would be like a music venue. You would see a cool photo show or a pretty rad mixed media show or something. But
is Philly like more where you would go for it, for the most immediate stuff?
Too far.
How far are they?
It's on it's about as far as San Francisco from here.
Okay.
It's on the clear opposite.
So like
end
4 hours?
5.
Okay.
5, 6.
It's like going to Orlando from Miami. Yeah. Although I would rather go to Miami.
Yeah, of course.
From Orlando.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. I mean, I guess there's no like easy trains to take, because you get these ideas from like Connecticut commuters going to New York and shit that like as you go up north. I'm an East Coaster, but I'm a Southeast Coaster.
Well, I mean, I would do things. I think the thing was.
Would you go to New York and stuff?
Not as a high schooler.
No, but I mean, like before where did you go to school? Did you end up going to staying in Pittsburgh?
No. Well, when I was in high school, I did do things like I went to the Wexner Center, which is a really fantastic it's like a non-collecting institution affiliated with Ohio State, and I would go to other, I went to Albright Knox in Buffalo, which was close-ish to Pittsburgh, like 4 hours, but it was just easier, I did go to the Philadelphia Museum of Art a couple times. There's like a whole Duchamp and a whole Ellsworth Kelly and
so it sounds like it was stacked against you, but for the Warhol Museum.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I initially went to answer your question about where I went to school. Initially, I went to Sarah Lawrence College.
Okay.
But which was a kind of a strange situation. Like I don't know how much you know about that place, but it's a really.
I was gonna say, I know that it has its like reactions because of the name, but every time I think of Sarah Lawrence, I think of Sara Lee. So immediately there's like, there's an image of cake, like sponge cake in my head. So I think that's my non-political visceral reaction to it is more powerful than like what people say. So tell me about Sarah Lawrence.
Yeah, I think
it's like it's kind of like the punchline for liberal arts college, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, and was it an all women's college at one point?
For a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably what bumps it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, I don't know what the demographics are now, but when I was there, it was still probably close to 3/4 women.
My man.
And of the men, it was probably only like, I don't know, 12% straight.
Oh, okay.
You know, so it was like it was just and then you know, the way that you instead of there being 5 3-credit classes, there's 3 5-credit classes, and instead of exams, your midterm, I believe, was a 15-page paper.
Oh wow.
And then your final is a 30-page paper. And you don't get grades, you get like written assessments, and you have a mentor throughout your entire time there, which it's like based on this Oxford structure. And then like at the beginning of each semester, you basically it's like this weird like audition process almost. Like it's like you apply to get into classes, but then like the upperclassmen have first dibs. So I was like trying to get into classes, and I kept being told like better luck next time. And so I ultimately ended up getting into a painting class, but that wasn't at the top of my...
That wasn't what you were trying to get into? What were you trying to get into?
I mean, I had tried to get into an Eastern philosophy class. I was told no. I tried to get into a film studies class. I was told no.
No HVAC, nothing.
They don't have HVAC.
I'm kidding. I'm just meant like pragmatic shit.
No, I tried to get into a genetics class.
Yeah.
I was just like, well, that sounds interesting. I mean, it's a lot of like, you know, like, just like, what do you think is curious, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but I just was told no to a lot of things, and so I ended up in this painting class, and I really loved it. But then, so when I was let me back up. When I was 17, my I think it was right before my senior year of high school. Like in August, I think I first started getting the symptoms, but
of being an artist.
No.
Oh.
No, of being an arthritic.
Oh, much worse.
Yeah.
Although artist is pretty bad too.
Yeah. So I think it was in September I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Wow.
And so then almost a year later, my fall semester at Sarah Lawrence, I had a terrible flare. And I had to go home. It was like I just
you couldn't.
I couldn't like use my hands.
Anything.
I couldn't walk properly. You know, like the medicine.
So it wasn't localized. It was like a general, like wherever you could get arthritis, you were getting it.
Yeah.
Kind of
so in my senior year of high school, it had like spread throughout my entire body. Like no joint in my body has not been affected. And like I take all sorts of medications now, and I've since 2 years ago I was also diagnosed with lupus.
Oh, okay.
So now I have this thing called rupus. It's like a very small percentage of the world has both. But yeah, so I had to leave Sarah Lawrence, and they were really gracious and lovely about the whole thing. They were like, come back whenever if you ever get healthy. But it actually ended up being kind of a blessing because I was like, yeah, that's a little... I don't think that place was quite right for me. You know, it's like 1,100 students or something. I mean, it's a beautiful campus. It's an interesting concept
experiment
for a place, but like, I kind of just wanted a place where I could...
But it's so funny that it's based off of like a stuffy Oxford kind of like, you know, super Anglo, like model of institutionals of like academic institution.
Yeah, but the vibe is nothing like that.
But I never knew that was kind of the model. I mean, Oxford has grades though. It's more the mentorship part.
The mentorship part. Yeah. And I think also the rigorous like research and writing component. The other thing was I did feel a bit out of place, like, when I was describing my background. I met some really just lovely, delightful people while I was there, but I mean, there were people who were like the children of UN diplomats and and people who were like,
I would have fit in there more than you.
Absolutely. Like children of like hedge fund managers and shit. And I was, and they were like, they grew up in Manhattan, or they grew up in Beverly Hills, or they grew up in wealthy suburbs of Chicago,
or Rome, Italy.
Yes, or DC or whatever. And I and they had already, they had extensive experience with designer drugs, and I had only smoked shitty weed, and I was like, I just need to go to a regular school.
So where did you end up going?
I ended up going to Rutgers University in New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah. And then art?
Yeah,
okay.
For art and writing.
Did you end up getting an MFA at some point, or you still?
I did. Yeah. So
and then where did that happen?
I got an MFA at Virginia Commonwealth University.
What is the deal with that school? So many people go there. It's got a good art program?
It does.
Okay. Tell me about that program.
Well,
it literally came up Sunday.
Really?
Yeah.
With who?
I was talking to somebody who's talking about somebody that went there.
Huh. Yeah, it's a great school, kind of out of the way. It's in Richmond, Virginia. About 2.5 hours away from DC. It's a really strange place. It's the old capital of the Confederacy. Like, it really does feel like the South in some ways, despite
being so far north. Yeah.
And that was kind of a mind fuck at times, like architecturally there were Southern aspects.
Yeah.
Also just like the vibe, there were like, and I didn't feel it until I got there. Like when I visited.
Is Richmond industrial a little bit? No, I mean, obviously not compared to Pittsburgh, but no. I've never been, but I used to live in Bethesda.
Yeah.
So I was like in the area, and then driving down south to Miami, I would always pass Richmond, and I was always like, for us, it was always like, where's the problem? Where's the place that we're gonna get in the most trouble for having weird last names, And I think we were always most nervous. Me and my Cuban friends, we were always most nervous in Central Florida and one of the Carolinas, probably South.
Yeah, I think South Carolina, I would be nervous.
Yeah. Georgia was chill.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part. Like, yeah. I don't remember having anxiety, and I don't even... I'll put it to you this way. I don't know what a Georgia cop car looks like.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, of the time, right? They probably had the Crown Vics, but I don't know what the decals on it were. Yeah.
So I guess they weren't serving or protecting or claiming to. I mean, no cop really does either of those things. Yeah. But the Georgia cops were just like, man, we're not gonna.
I just never had problems, anything. And I like, because you're driving through Savannah. When you're taking the I-5, you're driving by Savannah. I don't know. I don't remember being that close to Atlanta, but I could be wrong. It was like an 18-hour drive, so you were like kind of confused, but I'm more interested in what Virginia is like. So continue. You're expanding my perception of what it was, because first of all, I didn't know that it had Southern architecture, which I obviously am familiar with. And I didn't know that I always thought it was like a much more industrial kind of city. Not quite like Pittsburgh, but like I just pictured warehouses and stuff. That's not right?
Well, there's a neighborhood that is kind of industrial. It's called Scott's Edition, which apparently since I moved out is like where all of the now there's like a bunch of breweries and distilleries and shit like that. Like every city's got. You know?
Like so, Asheville used to have. I mean, they probably still do.
I guess I've never been to Asheville, unfortunately. I hear it's beautiful. But...
No, it's. I mean, God bless them for what they went through, but
yeah. So, so there's that, and then like the west side is like where, I mean, you were talking about Parker Posey. I assume you watched the new season of White Lotus.
No, the first season turned me off. I might give it another go. I there were things that we can get into, but we would probably be better served doing that after the recording.
All right. Well, the west side of Richmond is where like the pop collars are. You know, like the
pop collars.
Yeah, like pastel polos.
Okay.
You know, like that's where the preppies. Yeah. And those are like kind of like newer, you know, it's like what's that, do you know about that Bravo show Southern Charm?
No.
It's like people in Charleston, South Carolina, like work hard, play hard type of people. It's like that's the vibe.
That's the South.
Yeah.
You go to fucking Louisiana, you're like, damn, y'all.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, it really was strange for me to see, like, you know, like, and then like the northern, like you go further north and it's like that's where sort of like the NASCAR people are.
Yeah.
You know, you go south and it's like variations or like tiers of different non-white people.
Okay.
You know, like not in like a tiered like
varieties is what you meant.
Yeah. Like these are the upper middle, but just like.
But I mean, like it could also. I know that you're being careful because of the environment we live in.
I'm a white guy.
I didn't want to highlight that, but because I don't think it matters. But I think like economically there is a tier system often with those things. Yeah. So I don't think I didn't. I mean, not that I'm the representative of all people of color because I'm barely one of them. But I'm just saying, like, I got what you're saying.
Well, basically, it was like, when you went south, it was people of color, and basically, the less English you could speak, the farther out from the
main city. Yeah.
That's how I
Miami
would articulate it.
Miami is the other way.
Really?
Yeah, Miami is the less Spanish you speak, the more on the outsides you are. That's where like Cooper City kind of and all of the like, you know. But we still got cities like Boca Raton, which is like that doesn't sound very American.
No. Not at all.
But yeah, so, okay, so then tell me about like about first of all your practice, then we can get into some of the art writing,
sure,
and then maybe get into a little bit of the Jeans Dispensary.
Absolutely.
These guys sell weed, right?
Not yet.
Trying to get licensed.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if anybody wants to link up.
Or you could just do it the old-fashioned way and sell weed.
Well, you know, I mean, I got to get that product. That's what I'm saying. I'll be the one to sell it, but you know.
Yeah. Someone's got to link up with you, I guess. Yeah. At Jeans Dispensary.
At Jeans_Dispensary.
Yeah. All right. So tell me a little bit about your practice. So you started painting. Is that what you ended up staying with when you like? It was a painting class that unlocked art for you. Are you a painter?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
No. So I started with painting at Sarah Lawrence, and then I went back to Pittsburgh to sort of recalibrate and get my shit together. Get healthy again.
Yeah.
Went to Rutgers, studied painting, English, creative writing, and then I went to New York for a little while. And while I was in New York, I was making paintings in my bedroom, but not really like hustling painting. You know, I was also in a band and
punk.
Well, at that point, I mean, I was in a band all through college, 2 bands, and one was a pretty I guess it was like a raucous, like stoner doom metal type of band. But it was like kind of thrashy too. I mean, it was like just
mix of aggressive genres.
Just very loud.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very loud. So one
technical or not?
Sometimes.
As tight as Dillinger Escape Plan technical?
No. We had 2 bassists.
Okay. That's a novelty that I don't think happens very often because it's probably hard to manage.
Yeah. It was a strange band. One and then my other band was kind of like free jazzy but also very loud. At one show I played it was described as heroin metal.
Okay. And you play what?
Mostly guitar.
Okay. What guitar do you? What's your main go-to axe?
Dan Electro.
No, but I'm saying like, do you have a particular one? Like this would be my favorite of my guitars.
Yeah,
it's
an
American Strat. Dan Electro. What model? Lipstick pickups or?
I don't even play anymore. I forget what it was. It was just like a powder blue Dan Electro. I remember the year.
You don't even have a guitar anymore?
It's in storage. I'm just saving it for my son.
Oh my!
I think it was in 1958 or something. It was like from the late 50s.
Was it a hollow body?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So like original Dan Electro, not whoever owns them now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably Fender or Gibson, I would imagine.
It was like one of those like plastic, like super lightweight.
Yeah.
That you just would find from like a pawn shop.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I got it for like $100 or something.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So then the bands.
But then I would play it on like a Fender Hot Rod DeVille 410 with like crazy fuzz pedals and shit. So it was like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like fuzzes like muff style fuzzes with a scoop in them?
Yeah, big muff. But then I got this I forget the brand. I found this really wild fuzz pedal from Australia. I was like this purple pedal. I mean, clearly I haven't been playing in a long time.
No,
the blue box. I loved the blue box.
Yeah.
I basically modeled my rig after Lee Ronaldo
from Sonic
Youth.
Okay.
Yeah.
The most famous member of Sonic Youth. No, you're much better versed than Sonic Youth lore than I am. So okay, and then the painting. So then, what are you making now? Like, how would you describe your practice now?
Yeah. So okay. So I guess to back up, I was when I was in New York. I was in these bands, and I was going to a lot of music shows and going to a lot of art shows as well. But I was basically just preparing a portfolio for graduate school. I wasn't like trying to hustle to get into group shows or anything like that. I was just like steadfast. Like,
did you even know that you could hustle to get into group shows, or how to hustle at the time?
I didn't really care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to figure out that I could do that. So.
I mean, I didn't mean to sound dismissive. That I just was like,
no, it wasn't your focus. Yeah.
I was just like,
it wasn't even on your radar as a question to ask.
No, I mean, like I was friends with
people that were doing it.
Yeah, and okay. I was just like, I mean, I was pretty broke.
Yeah,
I was, I lived in this, like sort of fucked up building in Bed-Stuy, and I was just making small ass paintings in my bedroom. Like I was basically like inadvertently huffing oil paint.
Oh, nice.
And
that's how you got lupus.
Quite possibly.
I'm a scientist. So then you got into school, and how's that evolved from then? The practice. So then
I went to VCU, and I continued making paintings and making music and writing my first year. And when I was there, I also started taking classes with this just phenomenal sound artist who was on faculty, Steven Vitello.
Mm-hmm.
And he helped open things up for me. not just like with making music or making sound art, but just like how I was thinking about my practice in general.
Yeah.
Similar to when I was at Rutgers, I had studied with the poet John Yao, and he had brought the poet and art critic. Well, John's an art critic as well, and he brought the poet and art critic Jeremy Sigler in for a semester or two, and I worked with him as well. And so they were like two of the most influential professors, even though I was mostly painting.
Yeah.
And so so when I had the summer between the first year and the second year at VCU, I feel like, since I wasn't really teaching as much, I mean, I taught one course, but I wasn't like taking any courses. I was just like focusing in the studio. Things really started to shift, and I kind of stopped making paintings in the same way. And I started thinking more about how I wanted to utilize my writing, and how I wanted to utilize spaces. And so installation started becoming more part of my practice.
This was 4 years after me probably, but were they pushing as hard the conceptual side of stuff at Virginia Commonwealth? There was an era where like I think that was like paramount, like where I was almost, at least to me, it felt like it was almost being taught, like doing any kind of modernism was like going back in time.
I think that there wasn't like a specific agenda.
Okay.
It
was just kind of classes and teachers all with their own different mindsets.
I think there was an expectation of both conceptual and studio rigor.
Okay. So it wasn't like you could just fuck off and not be technically sound.
Oh, I mean, you didn't need to be technically sound. Like there wasn't an expectation that you needed to like perfect some sort of craft. That wasn't like whether it was like in your portfolio or like what you were, putting up on the walls or on the floor or on the screen in your thesis exhibition. You didn't need to be like a master craftsperson.
Yeah.
But there was an expectation that when I say rigor, that you were like really pushing yourself, and if you were dicking around in any way, like you were gonna get your ass handed to you.
Yeah.
But I think if somebody was attempting to be a conceptual artist and they were out of their element, then they were sort of whether it be by a faculty member or by, because when you're in like a group crit, I think it was a supportive yet critical program. And so like we were all kind of like, is this really what you want to be doing? In the same way that like if you were like I remember there was a more conceptual artist who was trying to make abstract, sort of like he was really smearing the paint like cream cheese on a bagel, and we were like, what are you trying to do here? You're like, that's not like, you're not being yourself, and it's like I'm a really big Top Chef fan.
Okay.
And it's like anytime the chefs aren't being themselves, they
call them up.
Tom and the other judges are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to box yourself in. You want to push yourself. You don't want to like only limit yourself to like what you've always done. But if you're like trying to be inauthentic, it really shows. It comes through. And so like they were never like pushing an agenda. Like you should be doing relational aesthetics. You should be doing like you're a person of color. Why are you not doing identity politics?
Well, sometimes that does that is put on people.
Yeah, but they didn't do that.
Yeah. So then, how did that transition, and what does the work look like now?
Well, I don't really make art
you
anymore.
You don't? Okay.
No. I mean, jeans has sort of become
The practice.
Yeah. I mean, so I did have a pretty robust practice for well over I mean, I graduated from VCU in 2011, and yeah, I'd really consistently made and exhibited work up until not that long ago.
Like what year? Did COVID have something to do with that?
Something to do with it. I think COVID, and also, I've been open. I wasn't necessarily expecting to be open about health stuff, but I'm giving my biography. But like, when you have rheumatoid arthritis, stretching and unstretching and restretching and yeah, like fucking hurts. Or like, like lifting anything more than like I was telling you earlier, I got a 4.5-year-old kid. It's like he's turning into a sack of potatoes. Like he used to be easy to carry around. Now I'm kind of like, buddy.
I remember how heartbreaking it was when my dad couldn't carry me anymore.
Well, he's like, no, daddy, come on. And I'm like, no, you can walk to the pizza shop, buddy. But yeah, it's like, it's not easy on my bones, my joints, my back. And so, I mean, at a certain point I started to, like painting. I mean, I was enjoying the practice less, because it hurt. But also, I was just like, I was not feeling. I was kind of feeling out of place, similar to how I was talking about, being at Sarah Lawrence. Like, I was like, as much as I love painting, it's like when I go to a place like the Met, aside from maybe like the cloisters, like I like want to go to see like Bonnard and Vuillard, like first and foremost, but then and then I like make my way to everything else. But like, I don't know, like I as an artist, as a thinker, wasn't always relating immediately to contemporary artists who were making paintings. Like my concerns didn't feel like their concerns, and vice versa. And so
are you saying, it sounds like, correct me, this is why I want clarification. It sounds like you're saying that you felt less relevant in the dialogue, or am I okay? Because that didn't feel right.
No, I mean,
knowing what I know about you.
No, I was like being asked to exhibit my paintings in painting shows and otherwise in non-painting shows, various contexts. But I was also making other types of works and exhibiting other types of works. I just became less interested in making and exhibiting the paintings. In part because what I was saying is I didn't feel, not only did I not feel as compelled to do that work, I just didn't feel like it was, it's not that I didn't feel it was relevant or that I was relevant in making it. It was that I didn't feel like what I was trying to express or what I was trying to encapsulate or whatever, had much in common with the contemporary discourse within painting. And I felt like I was being, at times, characterized or contextualized improperly. But that's not necessarily anybody else's fault. Like, I'm the one making the work, and people
and
are
they're reading.
They're reading it however they want, and that's you make something, you put it out into the world. It's
but
up
I mean,
to...
I mean, it's interesting to hear you say that, because that is something that a lot of people of color I've had on the show feel that has happening to them specifically in a certain way, and I think that speaks to a broader sense of how narrow the discourse can be during a specific set frame of time, right? Yeah. And I mean, it's still kind of mind blowing to me, like that George Floyd all of a sudden made people of color relevant in the art world in a way that like it was like a breaking point for white guilt, you know. But then at the same time, they started to do what you're describing of like contextualizing people in a way that they don't want to be contextualized.
Well, and tokenizing.
Yeah, and tokenizing.
You know, like people who couldn't get in a group show were now all of a sudden getting solo getting solo shows or representation. And it's like, where were these people 5 years ago? Yeah. Where were these people 10 years ago, making these offers for opportunities,
No, and also just like the old heads that have been around the scene for so long, and then all of a sudden a new generation of people, specifically Mexicans here in this city, like, that there was that show with Rafa Esparza that comes up on the show a lot because it was like a big Latino show. But the other thing with that is that if your first show is a Jeffrey Deitch, you might crash your market, But to tell me a little bit about Jeans.
Yeah, of course.
So Jeans, is it commercial? What is your ambition? Like where are you now that you've stopped the practice? Or maybe, I mean, not indefinitely, but you know what I mean? Like you've transitioned and you've made it part of your practice. Are you an 501c? No. So you make or break based on sales.
Yeah, I mean, and
grants maybe.
No grants yet. If anybody wants to give me a grant, please give me grants.
I think you have to apply to them.
I know, but it'd be cool if you didn't have to apply to them. Or
just based on your appearance here.
No, I'm not a nonprofit. It takes more time than, I've only been doing this since May of last year.
Oh, okay.
So takes quite some time to get that ball rolling. I don't know. Maybe that's a possibility at some point, but I do aspire to make sales. I have made sales. I do want to make money for the artists I work with. I do want to make money for myself as well.
Money's nice, man. All these people shitting on it.
Yeah, no, I guess, Jeans has sort of overtaken my practice. Like it's become my practice. I guess what I was starting to say is that, I started to realize that, because in addition to making art, I've been curating exhibitions for close to 15 years and being almost as prolific with my curatorial practice as I have been with my studio practice. And I have always, found such joy and fulfillment and from it, and I love working with, like the collaborative aspect of it. I love, I also am an art writer, so I write all of the.
Who do you write for?
I've written for Carla. I've written for Kaleidoscope. I've written for Los Angeles Review of Books, Flash Art.
Cool.
You name it. But I write all the accompanying texts for all of the shows that I've organized, and the actual placement of the works as well. It's it's such a puzzle, and I like solving those problems. And, and it became to me like visual poetry, and I started doing a similar thing with my solo shows, with my own work. And I was like, is this even necessary anymore? Like my own work. I'm getting kind of all I need out of these curatorial projects. And then
you're not Canadian. Projects.
I'm not. Yeah.
Is that Yinzer?
No. People in Pittsburgh ask me where I'm from.
Okay. Yeah, no, you do have a very specific accent.
Yeah, they're like,
I can't quite place it.
What's wrong with you, boy?
Yeah.
But I mean, I do have a lot of Canadian friends. Maybe they've been rubbing off on me over the years.
I don't doubt it. But they're definitely. I've learned that they're definitely. If they say projects, they're probably East Coasters of Canadian East Coasters, because the West Coasters. I just interviewed Ketty, who is Canadian, and she was saying that they don't. That she's never heard the word a boot.
Oh yeah,
pronounced like that, and I'm like, yeah, you're on the wrong coast.
Yeah. Where's she from?
She, British Columbia. Well, she was born in China.
Oh, okay.
And then came over when she was 14.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so in May of last year, this space in this medical office building just sort of fell into my lap. It was like, hey, a buddy of mine was using it and asked me, he was going to move to a different space, and asked me if I wanted it, and I asked how much. The price was right. And yeah, so I've been plugging away ever since.
That sounds like a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Have you at all been able to start tackling like building a collector base kind of thing, or is it mostly individual sales to like people that come out to shows and stuff?
A little bit of both. I mean, I didn't come into it with a collector base.
Yeah, no. I just had, so the Patreon episode right now is with Red Baruch, who started off in the design world. So he started off with like working with interior designers and essentially converting them into advisors to sell to the people that they sold other shit to. So like so there's so many interesting ways to make it work. So anyway, just I am becoming more interested in this, and I think that like it makes sense as an artist to want to know. Hopefully
some of those people watch this episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even like. I guess the bewilderment started for me when I had Tyler Park, and he was telling me how he got into it, and he basically got into it by working in the industry for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, how the fuck do you do it otherwise? And I'm slowly learning about that. So how have you been going about stuff?
Well, actually, funny you say that. I've known Tyler since basically I moved here. I've known
really?
Him since 2013.
Well, do you know who the person? Shout out to Jennifer Coates. Is that who he's showing right now?
I don't know.
Oh man,
I haven't been to
she has a 666 in her Instagram tag, so immediately I like her.
Sick.
But no, the show is really good. I went over and I was like, it's better than the one at Francois. Because he used to work with Francois.
I know.
And he was like, and I was like, I'm sorry, it's not a company. He was like, no, I don't mind hearing that.
Dang.
But
throwing stones, doggy.
No, I'm not throwing stones. I'm throwing compliments.
Well, in one direction.
Well, I like Francois. I just didn't like the current show. I think that's fair.
Hey,
you're an art writer. You know about that shit.
I know how it goes.
Yeah. But the person I was with liked the show. So anyway. So how have you been going about all of this stuff?
I think, having been in the city for 12 years and being an artist, being a curator, being a writer, my network among all of those people
I mean, if you know Tyler,
yeah.
If you got somebody that can give you advice for sure, Tyler.
Yeah, and so like thus far the openings have been quite filled, you know?
But that doesn't necessarily mean sales.
No.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like people have been coming.
Yeah.
And so that has been really promising. Like right from the beginning, like show number one, there's been a strong following, which has been just promising. It's like it's like, oh, okay, like this feels like I'm doing something right. I should keep pursuing this. And then people have continued to offer other opportunities, like whether it be something like this
Mm-hmm.
or the Leroy's show that was a massive undertaking, or I just organized a solo exhibition of an artist that I'm working with, Michael Kennedy Costa, down at a gallery in Mexico City, a gallery called Local One. And so it's like slowly the like Gene's
name is getting out there.
It's expanding, and
I was nice enough not to use the brand word.
whatever you want to call it. So that's like, positive. And I think with each show, I'm getting requests from advisors or
That's awesome.
collectors or new writers, or and the Leroy's collab, like there were I think at the opening there were probably 600 or more people who came. And then because I think every weekend I organized 2 events.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were just all of these new people who had not been aware of, in some cases, either of our spaces. But because I was having like different comedians and poets and musicians and just people from all different worlds. And the final event on the final weekend was an all-day chess extravaganza. So there were like...
Do you play chess?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love chess. And I had 2 dudes.
In my gallery, it would be 9 dominoes.
Well, hey, if you want to do it,
I've been putting out feelers of an artist domino game.
I don't know how to play dominoes, but you can teach me.
Yeah.
We could do badminton. We could do all sorts of collabs.
Well, my favorite thing about dominoes is that during the time that they were doing the poker was really big on ESPN, they tried to make the dominoes a thing, but it was like all Dominicans.
Really? Yeah. Maybe that would be like an Ocho thing, remember?
Yeah, the fucking dodgeball. Yeah.
I think like once a year they turn, it's like ESPN's whatever the like college network is, or I think it's like the college network or something. For a day they turn that into, or maybe it's ESPN News or something. They turn that into the Ocho.
The Ocho?
And then
do they call it the Ocho?
Mm-hmm. And then they just air a bunch of crazy ass sports.
Whatever producer did that is a genius. Yeah. But what you're telling me is interesting, because I guess when you were telling me that you've been having good turnouts and stuff, but then it sounds like you're making an effort to have people that are not artists. Because I think that, like, as much as I love artists and as good as it is to have them come to your show, they're probably not the people with the biggest pockets.
No.
So it seems like these chess events and these things might bring, and like you were mentioning comedians and stuff, so you're bringing other people that have other interests that also like art.
Yeah.
That might end up being...
Well, and it's not just, I want to, like I said, I want to make money for the artists and for myself.
Yeah.
But inviting all of these people, it's not just for like prospecting,
No, I get it.
I really, I think that the artists that I'm working with are brilliant, and I want their work to be seen and experienced by as many people as possible. I also am organizing all these events because my interests go beyond just visual art. Mm-hmm. I worked for Jeopardy for 7 years. Like I'm just
that was your day job?
Yeah.
Doing what?
I worked in the content department.
What does that mean?
Researching and developing clues.
Okay. All right.
And so,
because content now, I was like, wait, you did their TikTok?
No. Like I was working to like help make the games.
Yeah.
But like my interests are expansive.
Where is that filmed? Here?
Yeah, in Culver City.
Oh, okay.
And so like I feel like there used to be a time when arts were more integrated, like dancers, poets, playwrights, painters, they all hung out together. Like Black Mountain. Like that was a Bauhaus. Like these things were not so segregated.
Yeah.
And now they very much are. And I would like to work towards, making that not be so. In terms of, bringing people with, bigger pocketbooks, like, I think we all, even people who have giant storefronts, giant white cubes, even need to think more creatively these days.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Trump is making it very difficult for everybody to make a buck these days.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, again, going back to the whole thing about authenticity, though, it's like I can only be myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't show things or do things that doesn't feel right to me. And like, I guess I should probably share why the gallery is called Gene's Dispensary.
I was going to ask, but I feel like that's too obvious a question. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I should, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it really goes to it speaks to why, what I was just describing. But when I was thinking about what I wanted to call it, I did want it to have a person's name. I didn't want it to be my name. For one thing, I didn't want it to be like an ego-driven enterprise. Also, nobody can pronounce my last name, not even people who have known me for years. I mean, Did
I pronounce it right?
You did, because you asked me.
Okay. But you mean when people read it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
where is it from?
From Hungary.
Okay.
It's a Hungarian last name. And I mean, even I don't pronounce it correctly, technically.
Yeah.
It'd be Varadi. But I'm not going to do that.
I tried to do someone's name in Chinese and pronounce it in Chinese, but I think that one's too.
Yeah.
There was like a weird half R roll there that you did, and there's no R in there. What is it?
Would you technically do it? Or
Yeah.
It'd be like Varadi.
Varadi. Okay, cool.
But you want to sound like Dracula, basically.
Yeah.
But just say Verity.
I want to collect art.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's Verity. But when I was growing up playing sports, like the coaches and the announcers and shit, they would all.
What would they say?
They would. I mean, a lot of people even today they do what they would do back then. They would add an R, Varadi. Or Varadi.
Yeah.
Variety.
I think I would probably just fuck up and say Verity.
You mean say it correctly?
Yeah, but I guess variety is the fuck up. It's just so similar to variety. Anyway,
or Verde. Some people say it like or like But anyway, I didn't want it to be that. And I liked the idea of it having something like something of like a diner or like pub style thing, like
the possessive.
Yeah, Waltz.
Yeah.
Tommy's.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And then but I wanted it to be specific, and why I wanted it to be like that was I wanted it to be comfortable and comforting. I wanted anybody, whether it be somebody who is very active, engaged, involved in the art world, whether that be an artist, a collector, whomever, or somebody who's like just recently getting acquainted with art, to feel like they can come in and they can ask me anything like it's a fucking Reddit session and not feel like a bonehead,
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'll call it Genes. And why, or I'll use Gene as the first part, and why it was I shortened for Eugene, Eugene V. Debs.
What's that? That's like a case, right?
No, Eugene V. Debs was like the godfather of socialism in the United States.
Okay.
So
it wasn't Eugene versus Debs?
No. And so, I was thinking about like, equity, equality, everybody being on the same playing field. Also, like, not that I've been making sales like gangbusters, but I've made sales, and when I get paid, the artist gets paid immediately. Like, it goes into my bank account, and it goes, their cut goes immediately out, which is not, as a former practicing artist, not how it usually goes.
No, I know, I've heard.
And I, like, from the get go, I was like, that's has to be a rule. And so that was the jeans part. And then Dispensary, when I moved here in 2013, that was when dispensaries were like first popping off, and
that's around I think I got my card in 2010. So yeah.
And shortly after that is when they became, more recreational. But I still, when I moved here, I had to get a card, and it was one of the first things I did upon moving here. I moved here from New York, and
does it help with arthritis? I bet.
Oh, it's.
I bet it's hard to fucking beat. I mean,
it's awesome.
Yeah. No, because dog, what pharma wants to give you is probably not great.
Not all of it.
Yeah.
Some of it is. Not all of it. I mean, all of it is good, but some of it has like gnarly side effects, and like you can't do certain things when you're on, or you can't combine certain medication. It just becomes like a whole pain in the ass. But with marijuana, there's like really no issues with anything.
No, it's
other than like maybe sometimes not wanting to get up off the sofa,
or most times. It doesn't seem that that's a problem though.
No.
Yeah.
So, and also in addition to, it being a relief in that sense, and also LA, the climate being really great for, the arthritis, the community was unlike anything I had ever experienced. I had been living in New York for years. I had been to Europe a bunch of times. I've been to all of the major art cities in Europe, London, Berlin, Paris, etc. And after living here for like only 6 months, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, I had been to like backyard barbecues where artists who were in major museum collections were like showing sculptures.
Yeah.
Where people were also like grilling hot dogs and drinking Modelos. I was like, this would never happen in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
This would never happen in Charlottenburg.
No, that's true. I do think that there's a lot more like well-represented people that just take opportunities, even if sometimes even just because they can't show the stuff that they want to make at their represented gallery because there's not an interest in it. You know?
When I think there's just a I don't know. I think there's that element to it, but I think there's also
a sense of community, maybe
a sense of community, and I think a sensibility that sort of like permeates like osmosis. Like if you move here and you really like, or if you are born and raised here, it's just like in you. But like, I think there's a sort of a down ass mentality for a lot of the people.
Like, I'm down to do this.
Which really resonated with me as a person who, had participated in so many DIY communities growing up, where it's just like, even people who I think some folks might assume might be stuffy or snobby or this or that. It's like, well, if you just talk to them, they're actually not.
No, I have a lot of people. First of all, I want to acknowledge something that you said that was interesting, because I was just, do you know Jacqueline Cedar? She does Good Naked Gallery. Okay, so she just did one at, I forget the address, but it's the number of the building, Hyperion Avenue, right? And so she just did one there, and she had her dad perform monologues. Like, I think it was like 6 monologues, different characters and all of that. And it was so different than anything that happens at art openings in LA. But it was like so obvious that it's like normal in New York for that shit to happen, to have like theater actor, and I wonder, like, this is like one of the acting capitals of the world, if not the, but it's I don't see that mingling that much, you know.
It is happening though.
Well,
There's do you know about this theater that Max and Carla are doing?
No.
It's just called New Theater Hollywood.
And it's a gallery with theater stuff in it. Oh, cool.
You should check it out.
Yeah, but that is such a specific like thing. I think.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be like, well, actually.
No. But well, I mean,
it is newish.
I don't think that I didn't take that the way that you felt you needed to defend. No, I think that is like something that you don't. I mean, there's stuff like Baker's marionette, Bob Baker's marionettes and stuff like that. There's definitely a lot of cool stuff here, but that mingling that you were talking about doesn't happen as often. You know, galleries. It's almost like it would almost be kind of like, why put in the effort? It's like so much work to add this element that doesn't add to sales or anything like that. Not that all spaces, but you get what I'm saying? Like, I would see that more in a DIY kind of vibe, you know, like in more the artist run spaces where they're like, okay, I'm going to have my friends that are dancers come, you know, but not in the more, you know, I mean, Good Naked is a commercial space. So I thought it was interesting to see that. The other thing that I would say is that it's really nice to hear of somebody that comes to LA and doesn't think everybody sucks, because that is kind of the thing that happens. And I was like a lot of times I'll hear that from people, and then I'll hang out with their LA friends, and then I'm like, oh, that's why you think that.
I came here and I was immediately charmed.
Yeah, no, I know.
Truly,
But you were in the art. You were working in the art world, right? You were interacting in the art spaces. I think.
Yeah, but I didn't know anybody.
No, but it's a pretty friendly community. I think that LA in general is more friendly, and I think why people think people are fake is because there's no follow up and they're just being nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like incels that are like, you were so nice to me. You were flirting with me. I was like, no, I was just being cool. Yeah. That's actually, New Yorkers are incels when they come here. And they're like, everybody's so fake. I was like, no, they were just friendly. And that's it, you know?
Well, and I think the thing is New Yorkers have, I mean, how much time have you spent in New York?
I've never been to New York for like a meaningful amount of time. I've only visited for like a couple of days.
So here, I think...
I'm talking more of when they come here. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I mean, maybe they are incels, but as someone who lived there, I think the issue is this. In New York, there is the distinct possibility anytime you go out, if you're part of like any type of community, if you go out like of your apartment or after work or whatever, you could randomly bump into anybody you know, and then all of a sudden you're getting a beer or a cocktail or a glass of wine or a cup of coffee with one of your buddies or a friend of a friend or someone you've been saying at openings like, oh, we should do that thing, and then all of a sudden you're doing that thing.
Yeah.
Here in LA, you could go 18 months
without seeing your friends.
Yeah. And being like, oh, I really wish I could see Christy. I really wish I could see Josh. I really wish I could see, Roberto.
Yeah.
And you just don't.
No.
And you have them in your mind. And and people have these anxieties and these neuroses, like, does Keith even think about me anymore? or whatever. And it's like, you just gotta let it go,
My favorite thing to explain with Angelinos about LA is that we are at a place in this city where when someone flakes on you, it's a good thing because you have a free afternoon. You're not like someone flakes on you. And every time I'll talk to someone else, I'll be like, yeah, right. And then the person that's not from here is like, what? But yeah, it is exhausting to get anything done. Yeah.
I think just what I've learned is just it's also okay to be the one to follow up.
Yeah.
I've been, when I moved here, I had no shame just showing up to whatever. I was like, I don't I want to meet people, and I'm a nice friendly guy. I'm just going to say hi to people. And people were like, who is this guy? I'm sure they were just like, who's this young dude who's just showing up to stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe they weren't. Maybe they were just like, hey, nice new guy.
They were probably just like, hey, this guy's friendly. That's how I react to it. I'm never like, but I on the East Coast, there is that reaction. And I'm speaking of Miami East Coast, but I think it goes all the way up. It's like, yeah, people look at you weird if you're a stranger and you talk to them. Whereas here, that doesn't happen. And, but yeah, no, I think it's cool. I also would say that when her name is Ketty, the Chinese Canadian woman, we went to Tyler Park's show. I think it was Jennifer Coates who he's showing.
666.
Yeah, the 666. The demon Jennifer Coates. And I was she was saying like she's trying to decide between New York and LA. And maybe you can give your input because you've actually lived in both cities. And we were just not the most enthusiastic salespeople of LA. Like, we were just kind of like,
you and Tyler?
Yeah, me and Tyler. We were like, I was like, yeah. I mean, I thought she was younger than she was. I thought she was 24. She's actually 30. But when when I thought she was 24, I was like, no, you probably want to live in New York because you're running out of time to do that. You know, all of the people that live out here from New York got a little bit burnt out on that city.
Yeah.
I say it's like a young man's game. It's like, being a chef, you know, you're not going to be a chef in your 70s.
Right.
You can fucking burn up and die. So but it was funny because then I was like, hey, Tyler, she's thinking about New York or LA. What do you think? And he goes, you could move here, or you could not. It's like, neither of us was like, yeah, you got to come. LA is amazing. It's like, we love LA, but it's tough.
And she currently lives in
British Columbia.
In British Columbia?
Yeah. She describes BC. Have you been to BC?
I have not.
Okay. She describes it as a little bit suburban. It's a suburban-y. I thought it was a lot more New York-y, but it's probably somewhere in between and small.
Is she from Vancouver specifically?
She moved to Vancouver from China.
Okay, but she's in Vancouver.
She's in yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess how introverted or extroverted is she?
She's pretty social.
Give New York a shot.
Yeah.
You can always move out here afterward.
Yeah, exactly.
LA's not
you
going
can't
anywhere.
Do it the other way around. You can't live in LA and then ramp up your
Yeah. Also, I obviously I moved out here and I don't want to go back. I love New York. I really do. But I kind of feel like this is just like much chiller.
Yeah.
Nicer, friendlier, warmer,
older crowds. You know, like
you can have a yard.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the beach.
It's probably easier to raise a kid here.
It's much easier to raise a kid here.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's interested in having a kid.
I don't know.
So that might not factor into anything, but like
but in general, I mean, for artists, I think that seems like a decent piece of advice, you know. Although if you tell someone to build a network in New York and then move out to LA, I think that might be daunting too, unless they're like you.
I mean, I don't know. I also maybe just flip a coin. They're both fucking awesome cities. I mean, it's just like I guess it just depends. I also like I don't know. It's like what type of social is she? Like, does she want to bop around from one opening to the next and like stay out until 2:30 in the morning, you know?
Yeah, I think that when you're younger, you're probably more likely to want to do that.
So then you should probably go to New York.
Yeah. So then 3 people that we've had on this show that know have decided that, if you're a younger artist, New York is probably, like, if you have any interest in living in New York, that's probably the thing.
If you have any interest, you should just do it.
Do it, and do it before you come to LA, because you're not going to leave LA to go to New York.
I don't see why you would.
Yeah.
Seems silly.
It just seems like you're like, you know, you become a marathon runner and now you want to go sprinting.
Unless you are like an ex-girlfriend of mine, we actually moved out here together.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, oh, I made a mistake. Like she just missed New York so much, you know? It's like
that makes sense.
That's if you lived in New York and you love New York and you move out to the west, anywhere on the West Coast, then you very well could be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But like, if you've never lived in New York and you try to go there after having lived in like LA or like even the East Bay or something, like I think you're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But cool, man. Well, we've been going for like an hour and 24. I don't want to keep you from all. You are actually one of the more busy people that I've tried to link up. Like I reached out to you months ago, and then you were like, I got these fairs, and then you followed up, which I appreciate because not everybody does that. Sometimes people are just like, they forget. Anything that I haven't asked you about that you maybe wanted to drop? Any words of wisdom? Anything? Any thoughts that you're going to be like in the car, be like, oh, I should have said that.
No regrets.
No regrets.
Although I do think that if you are local or if you are visiting Los Angeles anytime in the near future, please do come visit me at Gene's Dispensary.
What's the address?
It's 2007 Wilshire Boulevard, Unit 820.
Cool.
Hit me up in advance to make an appointment. But the current show that just opened, Eat the Garnish by Leroy Stevens, is quite a trip. So I'd love to show you around, give you a beer or a seltzer, and talk to you about whatever you want.
Cool, man. And they can find you at Genes_Dispensary website.
GenesDispensary.ca.
CA. Oh. And then anything else? No other promos? Because I'm about to drop mine, and you're gonna have to sit and listen to them.
I don't think so.
All right, cool. Well, if you guys enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe so that more people interested in this kind of content can find us, because that really does help out a lot. Rate us 5 stars and write us a review. We haven't had a review in years. I will not hold it against you if you're my personal friend. I will not be embarrassed if my personal friends leave me reviews. I'm signaling pretty hard there. And if you would like early access to our episodes, it's $5 a month. Patreon.com/what'smythesis is where you go for that. And we'll be back next week with another guest and another topic that may or may not be art related.